So, apparently there's this website that suddenly appears when you're surfing the internet. It appears even when you're not looking for it, and the URL is constantly changing. But you'll know you've found it when you see a photo of a shrine gate and rows of cryptic numbers. Then, if you don't go out and find the same gate that's in the photo, you'll fall victim to a terrible curse. Be careful that this website doesn't find you next. Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of Kowabana, bringing you the best Japanese creepypastas, urban legends, and scary stories from the deepest, darkest corners of the internet. My name's Tara, and this week I have 3 carefully handpicked stories to deliver. So grab yourself some tea and sit back and relax while we explore some true Japanese scary stories. Our first story this week is about a young man who goes to visit his grandmother in the countryside. He hears rumours of a pond in the mountains that the children are forbidden to go near. What's a curious kid to do? This one's called Magagami-sama. There's this mountain in the village where my grandma lives. And up on that mountain there's this amazingly beautiful emerald green pond. It's so green it's almost blue. Almost like a transparent pastel colour. Whatever you want to call it, it's really beautiful. However, the children of the village are told never to go near it. Whenever I asked why, the answer was always the same. Children don't need to know. Just don't go there. But kids will be kids, so of course I wanted to know more. I asked my grandma and adults from the village about the characteristics of the pond. If it was really that beautiful, I wanted to see it for myself. The other kids in the village felt the same, and whenever I went to visit, we'd start talking about going there. The adults always warned so strongly against going to see it that various rumours started going around, like, if you go to that pond, you'll never come back. Some people even said that it was bottomless, so if you fell in, you'd die. Because of this, we were too scared to actually go find it. When I entered junior high school, I went back to the village for a holiday. The kids I used to play with, Taro and Hanako, who were twins, and their cousin Jiro were like, if you really can't return from the pond, how come everyone knows what it looks like? And if there really was a bottomless pit, they would have filled it in by now. We were older now, more rational. Is there really even a pond? How do we know it's not just some story they made up? So, in the end, we decided to go check it out. The 4 of us met up early in the morning and made for the mountain. The mountain itself was only small, so even if we got lost, we figured we'd be able to find our way out by nightfall. We didn't take the situation very seriously. We were now junior high school students, and Jiro was a 2nd grader who practiced judo. So he said if worse came to worse and some bear or wild dog attacked us, he would just beat them up. It made us feel better, even though we knew it was impossible. We walked around for close to 3 hours before we found a strange place where the trees grew really densely. I can't explain it very well, but in just that spot the trees were really numerous, like they'd been forcibly planted there. There weren't even any animal trails. It's gotta be here. Just look at it. It's too suspicious, Hanako said from the front of the line. She was a tomboy, and although the 3 of us boys were trembling, she went straight through a gap in the trees ahead of us. There was nothing else we could do, so we followed her. Then, just as we thought, there was the pond. What is that movie called? Center of the Earth? Whatever it is, it was just like a scene out of that. In reality, it was clearer than I ever imagined. It was so beautiful. But thanks to all the trees, it was kinda gloomy, and there was a small cabin near the pond that spoiled the view. At first, everyone was really excited, and we collected water from the pond in some bottles that Hanako had prepared. But that little cabin continued to make me feel uneasy. It was kind of long, like a small hut had been lengthened out. It was dirty and creepy, like a mountain witch or something lived there. Then Jiro was like, "If there's a mountain witch in there, I'm just gonna overhead throw her," and went inside. We went to follow him, but then out of nowhere Tado spit out, "No way, I'm not going. I'll stay here." Hanako was sick of him acting like such a weakling, but Tado refused to concede. "If you want to go, then just you and Jiro-chan can go. Ume-chan and I will just wait here, alright?" Why was I the only one being held back? Despite being scared, I actually wanted to go inside the cabin. But if something bad happened to Tado, even though he was a scaredy cat too frightened to put his money where his mouth was, well, that would have been bad, so I decided to stay. I waved Hanako and Jiro off as they entered the cabin, and sat by the green of the pond to talk to Tado. "Why don't you want to go in there? Are you scared?" "I don't like it. It's scary." "Well then why is it okay for Hanako and Jiro-chan to go in?" Tado replied, "Hana-chan is always mean to me. I hate her. Jiro-chan always acts tough, but it's all just words, so I hate him too. So whatever. If they die, I don't care. Hana-chan is always acting so big and mighty, and she treats me like dirt. Jiro-chan always hits me. I hate both of them. They should die. I just wish they'd die. That's why I came here, to have Magagami-sama kill them for me." Amongst this string of abuse, there was a word I'd never heard before, so I repeated it. "Magagami-sama? What's that?" None of the village kids know about her. Hanako and Jiro don't know either, because they're stupid. But I know. Magagami-sama lives here. Old lady Kichizu told me about her because I'm smart. "Yeah, but what is Magagami-sama?" "Ume-chan, you're always nice to me, so I'll help you out. But I can't do anything for Hanako and Jiro. They're idiots. They're stupid. They always act so tough. They should just die. Magagami-sama will kill them for me." It started to sound less like a string of abuse and more like a curse. At some point he even stopped calling them by their nicknames. Tado kept going, spit flying from his mouth, and before long he let out a strange laugh. His face turned to look at me as he laughed. His arms wrapped around his knees. He'd gone crazy. Then I realized that Hanako and Jiro had been gone a long time. I wanted to get away from Tado, so I made my way towards the cabin. Tado called out, "Stay here! Don't go looking for those two." "It's already too late." He smiled. His face made me sick to my stomach, but I ignored him and went inside. It was pitch black, and there was a strange smell. It smelled like something burning or something rotting. The further I went in, the more sick I became. Then, from a room at the end of the cabin, I heard a strange laugh. Reluctantly, I went in, and Hanako and Jiro were sitting on the floor. They were laughing the same way as Tado. It freaked me the hell out. I had to go and call someone. I turned around. A pair of white eyes were floating right in front of me. It was like a white membrane was covering the pupil of the eyes, like someone who had gone blind. I let out a terrible scream and drew back towards the wall. I felt something sticky. I touched it again and realized the entire wall was sticky. Oh, gross, 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 gross. I wanted to get out of there immediately, but I couldn't move because of the eyes. If I moved, they'd chase me. I was terrified. The white eyes continued to stare at me. Am I going to be cursed and die? I thought. I didn't want to look at them anymore, so I turned my face to the right. I told ya it was too late. Taro's face was there, half hanging inside the window. His eyes were exactly the same as the white eyes floating in front of me. Taro laughed. Hanako and Jiro also laughed. The white eyes kept floating before me. I couldn't stand it anymore. Half crazed, I ran from the cabin down the mountain. From behind, I could hear floating down the mountain. With tears streaming down my face and a runny nose flying everywhere, I fled. When I reached the bottom of the mountain, it was still midday. We were up on the mountain so long, it should have been night by now. The first person I saw when I entered the village was Taro and Hanako's grandfather. Ume! What's wrong? You! Their usually gentle grandfather came running at me with incredible speed, flecks of spittle running from his mouth. You went there? You went there? With a terrible look on his face, he shook me, and I told him everything. About how we went up to the mountain and saw the pond and the cabin, Taro's story, the white eyes and sticky wall, the three of them going crazy, and they were still up there. I bit my tongue several times as I tried to get it all out. You need to save them. What were those white eyes? Have I been cursed too? What is that up there? I yelled. Their grandfather suddenly hugged me and said, It's all right. It's all right. You're okay, Ume. You were saved. You're okay. But what about Taro? Taro was his grandson, not me. Why wasn't he worried? I started to panic, but then I realized I didn't want to get the sticky stuff on their grandfather, so I pulled away from him. Then I saw what was on my own body. It looked a lot like mayonnaise, but it was spotted with black and red. It felt like the texture of mayonnaise too. Plus it stank. The smell pierced my nostrils. My memories of the incident end around there. Next thing I knew, I was lying on the floor of my grandma's house, surrounded by adults. My parents were crying their eyes out. They sat nearby, but didn't try to talk to me. Everyone else did the same. Taro's parents were there too, but they were just crying quietly while looking at me. Then I realized I couldn't move. I wasn't bound or anything, but for some reason, I couldn't move. I couldn't speak either. All I could do was open my eyes. What's this? I thought, starting to panic. Taro's grandmother came over to speak to me. Ume-bon, take a look at my right eye, would ya? Taro's grandmother lost her right eye in an accident long ago, so she had an artificial eye. But I already knew that. What good would looking at it do? I did as she asked anyway and looked. What? It's the same as usual. The focus is a little strange, but it's your eye. Suddenly I could speak. The adults all let out a cheer. Oh, I'm so glad. He's been saved. They all cried and hugged each other. My parents hugged me as they cried. Even Taro's parents cried. "We're so glad, Ume-chan. So glad." But I was just creeped out. Your own child is somewhere going crazy. Why are you happy and not saying angry things towards me? "What about the other three? What happened to them?" I asked. But the adults just replied, What are you saying? They've been home all morning." Ume-chan, if you learn anything from this, it's not to go up that mountain alone again. Ah, so that's how this was going to be, huh? They were going to pretend that I went up the mountain alone. Taro and the others were probably locked away in their grandmother's storehouse or something because they'd gone mad. I could see what was going on. I said nothing. 2 or 3 days later, it was time to go back home with my parents. I never saw Taro or the others again. I'm in my 20s now, and my grandmother is still healthy, so I go to visit her often. The village people are still kind. Taro's parents still act the same, and Taro and the others are still nowhere to be seen. When I asked about them, I heard that Hanako got married and moved to Tohoku. Taro and Jiro both started working at the same company, and both of them moved overseas. When they were in high school, 3 of them supposedly went to school in Tokyo. Whether that was true or not, after the incident, I never saw them again. I don't know what the wide eyes and sticky substance were, or what Magagami-sama was. I didn't know where Taro and the others were either. The old lady Kichizu that Taro spoke of didn't exist in the village, and I still don't know who she was. But in all the years since that incident, nothing has ever happened to me. There haven't been any changes in my life. I haven't seen the white eyes or sticky substance since either. I asked my parents in the villages about it, but they just said it was probably just a dream. You went up onto the mountain alone and came down suffering from heat stroke. When I asked the kids who used to talk about the rumors of the pond the same questions, they just calmly answered, "Pond? I don't know anything about a pond." I don't know about you, but I'm creeped out. Now, there's a small hint in the title of this story as to what it's really about. The Magagami from the title translates to evil god in Japanese. Who was this Magagami-sama that he ran into up in the mountains that everyone pretended not to know about? Perhaps the answer is in the title. Our next story is about a hairdresser who also loves horror. She hears about a haunted tunnel nearby and decides to visit it. But what exactly is waiting for her there? This one's called Tunnel Story. My friend heard this story from the owner of a hairdressing salon. I'll call her A-san. A-san had no ability to sense ghosts whatsoever, but she really liked horror stories. She often listened to scary stories from her co-workers and customers, but one day she heard a rumor about a nearby tunnel. It was your standard, if you go into the tunnel, turn off your lights and honk the horn story. She didn't entirely believe it, but the tunnel was nearby, so she figured she'd go and check it out anyway. But she was too scared to go alone, so she asked one of her older male friends, who could see ghosts, to come along with her. At first he was like, "It's no good to mess around with these things just for fun," and refused her. But then A-san said, "Well then I'll just go by myself." In the end, he reluctantly agreed. The tunnel was located in the mountains, where even the locals wouldn't go at night. At nighttime it was pitch black. A-san drove there while her friend sat in the passenger's seat. Her friend said that if he felt it was dangerous, they would drive off immediately. So it was sort of like a test of their courage. As they slowly drove along the pitch black road, the tunnel came into view. Before they entered, Her usually cheerful friend suddenly went silent. A-san asked him, "Is everything okay?" He just replied, "Yeah, maybe." Despite getting scared, she went into the tunnel and stopped about halfway, as the rumor instructed. If it was true, then when she turned the lights off... Wait! Don't turn off the lights. There were no lights in this narrow tunnel in the middle of the mountains, so all they could rely on were the lights from the car. Now, exit the tunnel. A-san stepped on the accelerator, and the car took off. Her friend didn't mention if he could see anything chasing them, or if he could hear any voices, so she didn't go too fast. But his expression was still grim. On one side of the dark mountain road was the mountain range, on the other side a river. Her friend, who was silent even after exiting the tunnel, quickly said in a tense voice, "Hurry up! Go faster!" She floored it, and somehow they arrived in a residential area. After a moment, her friend said everything was okay, so they pulled into the parking lot of a convenience store. A-san was terrified. What happened? According to her friend, there was apparently a middle-aged man and a woman standing on either side of the tunnel entrance. They were looking at the car, but it didn't seem like they were going to do anything. Every now and then her friend saw ghosts who just stood around not doing anything, so he didn't bother to warn her about it. However, once they stopped the car inside the tunnel, he could see the couple coming towards them. They were walking, but they were heading straight towards the car. It's never good when that happens, so he told her to exit the tunnel. He was hoping the ghosts would give up right then and there, but then they started chasing after them. If the ghosts were bound to the tunnel, then when the car exited they'd be able to escape, he thought. But the ghosts kept on chasing them, and then finally caught up to the car. "Hurry up and go faster!" The ghostly couple peered in through the windows, muttering something. A-san never saw anything, but apparently she broke out in a cold sweat and couldn't stop trembling. As they picked up speed, she shook them off, and that was when her friend said it was okay. If there's something in your car that you don't remember, rubbish or something, quickly throw it away. Don't open it. It seemed the couple had died in an accident, or perhaps a natural disaster. They were probably looking for their son or daughter. Her friend said that they were probably around the same age as the couple's child. When it got light the next day, and A-san went to take her car for a drive, she noticed there was a small vinyl bag attached to her back car door. She couldn't see what was in it very well, but there was something black or brown coloured inside. Without looking at it, she quickly threw it away. What would have happened if she did open it? Or if she'd followed the rumour exactly and waited inside the tunnel? I wonder what would have happened. Be careful when visiting haunted places. You never know what you might bring back with you. Our last story is about a young man who also enjoys visiting ghost spots. He hears about a bridge from a famous occult magazine and decides to check it out. What will he find once he gets there? This one's called Suspension Bridge. This story is about the time two of us went to a certain suspension bridge that was featured as a ghost spot in an occult magazine. We arrived at the suspension bridge late at night. It was the end of the rainy season, so the bridge was covered in a rather thick fog. We stopped the car in front of the bridge and planned to walk the rest of the way. I got out of the car, but my friend, the driver, just kept looking at the bridge and refused to get out. It's kinda creepy. No way. Sorry. I'm gonna sit this one out. We've been to ghost spots together several times, but this was the first time I've seen him so scared. Huh? You're gonna wait here all alone? Stop thinking about just yourself. Nah, I'm gonna stay here. Okay, well, I'm gonna go. I decided to leave him there and began walking towards the bridge. As I looked behind me, the car seemed to get swallowed up by the fog. It was like I was entering another world. The car felt so far away. I wonder if my friend was looking at me and thinking the same thing. I continued to walk forward. Then my friend suddenly sounded the car horn and started flashing the headlights. What's going on? Thinking something might have happened to him, I ran back to the car. Get in! Hurry up! Get in! I had no idea what was going on, but I got in. My friend quickly turned the car around and drove away from the bridge. Angrily, I asked him, "Hey, what's going on? You scared me." "Just now there was a small girl standing between you and the bridge." "What? Huh? Why would a small girl be up in the mountains this late at night? Think about it." "Oh, yeah, I guess. Thanks, you saved me." "I mean, I felt something, you know? As soon as I saw the girl, it was like she was warning me not to go near the bridge. She's the one who saved you." You say it was a girl. How old was she?" First or second grade of elementary school, I guess. We should be grateful to her." "I'm grateful, but I'm not into little girls." "Ha ha. I wonder what would have happened if I kept going." "I don't know." My comment about not liking little girls should have changed the atmosphere in the car, but it didn't. We continued home in silence. I said goodbye to my friend, and when I got home it was already after 6 a.m. The next day I got a call from him. "Hey, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." Okay, that's good." "Did something happen?" "No. As soon as I got home I went to bed, but then I had a dream that was exactly the same as last night." "When you saw the little girl?" "Yeah, the little girl was there, and I was honking the horn and flashing the lights trying to get you to come back." "Okay. But unlike last night, you didn't notice, and kept walking towards the bridge." "What happened to me?" "I don't know. I woke up." "What?" "Well, I guess it was a pretty big thing to happen right before bed, so it's not really that strange that you'd dream about it." "Yeah, I guess. I wonder if it's some kind of hint." Silence filled the air. It seemed to go on forever, but also last just an instant. But what broke the silence wasn't the voice of my friend, or even my own. There was a faint voice, deep in the phone, but we both heard it clearly. It was a girl's voice. "You should have crossed over." After that, my friend and I went to be purified by a priest, and he never dreamt about the little girl again. Of course, he never saw her again either. So, what did you think about this week's stories? Are there any stories or legends that you'd like to hear? Leave a comment and let me know. And we'll see you again next week for more Kowabana, true Japanese scary stories from around the internet. Want even more scary stories? Head over to kowabana.net for new translations every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. You can also join our Patreon for exclusive stories you won't find anywhere else. head over to kowabana.net now.